water troubles continue, not just in Pakistan, but here in the US. Take a look at what's going on in Mississippi right now. So absolutely insane flooding happening right there. An abundance of water, not an abundance of usable water though. So in Jackson, Mississippi, they have little or no water pressure in homes after the city's main water treatment facility failed at the beginning of this week. So right now, according to the governor who put out a statement, perhaps trying to draw some national attention to this, you can't flush toilets, you can't fight fires there, and fires can be a consequence of flooding. Reeves announced that the city is failing to produce running water. By the way, they already had issues. For about a month, there was a boil water notice, and residents were told to conserve what water they did have. So it was already an issue, but now this is, again, I don't know why it would be better if it were somewhere else, but we're used to saying that it's some other country that's having this experience, the complete catastrophic failure of infrastructure. Again, in a very real sense, a destruction of the capacity to maintain human life. No, it's here. It's happening in Mississippi. And again, it's flooding. Mississippi has had flooding. Mississippi will always have flooding, but the flooding becomes worse thanks to climate change. And again, it's not in the future, it's happening right now. Now, unfortunately, they have Tate Reeves. So what are the odds that he's gonna get that he's gonna come out of this crisis with a newfound respect for the scale, the scope of this climate crisis, and a desire to work inside of Mississippi and with the federal government to deal with it? I'm sort of doubting that that's gonna happen. I'm doubting that there's gonna be much of a concern about increased resiliency of things like their ability to produce water. But for rational people, this would be a great time to take this in, to learn from it, and have it inform our politics going forward. Sabrina, what are your thoughts?
I'm concerned with the displacement that this is also going to cause, like in Mississippi. Like if you're going to continue to not have drinkable, usable water, even to like flush the toilets and whatnot, and there's flooding going on, I'm worried that this is just going to displace like a lot of people. Because do we actually think that the representatives in that area are going to try and fix this for the long term? I don't think so. This doesn't happen that much in richer neighborhoods, and if it does, the problem actually gets fixed right away, as opposed to like maybe poor communities like this one in Mississippi. Probably not so much. People are just going to continue to suffer.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean the fact that it took literally years to deal with the situation of the totally avoidable water issues, for instance, in Flint. If that was 90210, it wasn't gonna be that way. First of all, they'd have the finest water shipped to them on a daily basis, but those pipes would be fixed, and that's fundamentally the issue. There's certainly the class inequity here, tied in with the fact that this is the US, so there's gonna be racial inequities too in terms of infrastructure, but also, even if this weren't a climate thing, this is an ideology thing. It's not like on both sides of the aisle, there's an equal respect for the ethical obligation of the government to function. What is the government supposed to do, what it's not supposed to do? In times that are easy, economically, in terms of public health, in terms of environmental disaster, then maybe it doesn't seem that critical where you stand on that question. But when the flooding starts, whether you think the government should function or not, whether you think of the government as a safety net to protect the most vulnerable from the worst outcomes, or if you view it as an unfortunate necessity to keep the peasantry in line, but if you could really keep your hands out of our pockets and away from our corporations, that would be ideal. Well, suddenly that gap feels pretty damn significant. It feels like the difference between life and death, and for some people just might be. Now here, thankfully, the level of the crisis, the lack of access to water, that can be compensated for in the short term. You can move water over by truck and those sorts of things. But like we've experienced things like in New Orleans, like we know how significant this can get. And it shouldn't take crises at that level to get people to start to center this stuff in their politics. Something only as bad as this could be a reminder of how important it is that the government actually functions and that it centers the needs of real working people, not just the rich, in choosing how it does its budget, how it spends money, and all of that. And so hopefully this will be a reminder. Hopefully the people of Jackson will get prompt assistance.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.